And now, our conference opening plenary will reflect our theme, Islands Are Rising, and will include our conference co-chairs, Governor of Guam, Guerrero, and University of Guam, President Thomas W. Krise. Providing their introduction and moderating their session this morning is Dr. Austin Shelton, Director of the UOG Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Shelton.
Hafaday, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody around the world joining us from different islands and locations from around the world. We really appreciate you joining us for the 12th Conference on Island Sustainability. The University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability was established in 2009 to lead and support the transition of our island region toward a sustainable future. And for the past few years, I've started off our University of Guam Conference on Island Sustainability by sharing our center's recent progress and the next steps we plan to take on the journey to achieving a sustainable future for our island. 2 years ago, at our 10th Conference on Island Sustainability, we learned about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our center committed then to exploring ways to align with them. As we learned yesterday at the Guam Green Growth biannual meeting, the University of Guam formed a partnership with the offices of the Governor and Lieutenant Governor of Guam, and we engaged all sectors of our community to develop our island's most comprehensive public-private partnership ever created to achieve our island's sustainable future. Aligned with the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the Guam Green Growth Initiative cultivates an ecosystem for transformative action to achieve a more sustainable, prosperous, and equitable future for our island. The G3 Action Framework was signed and adopted last September, and we heard yesterday how our island has been making tremendous progress on it ever since. Now, I'd like to share a few of the upcoming sustainable actions the University of Guam and our center is taking in the coming months. Recently, our team has been visiting with our G3 members and partners. We met with the Guam Solid Waste Authority and Guahan Waste Control to better understand the enormity of our waste management and recycling challenges on island. We met also with the Department of Parks and Recreation and the Department of Public Works. We learned about littering and trash pickup challenges in our public spaces, such as the lack of trash bins. Next week, we will be taking sustainable action to contribute a few solutions. We'll be working to fabricate and install 20 large recycling bins at a few mayor's offices for metals, aluminum, and glass recycling. We'll also be distributing 50 waste receptacles to several of our public parks. We're working with the Micronesia Islands Nature Alliance based in Saipan for the bin design, and Peggy Denny with iRecycle and the Department of Public Parks and Recreation on the disposal and recycling end. We're creating a Guam Green Growth Conservation Corps. It will be a workforce development initiative to train our local workforce for the emerging green economy. We're working with the UOG Global Learning and Engagement Office to provide effective learning outcomes each week for the 12 Conservation Corps members. They'll work for 5 straight months on projects such as the identification and removal of some illegal dump sites in the villages, sorting and preparing of recyclables and processing them, removal of invasive species like the Cadena de Amor, the chain of love that chokes our native plants, seed collection and tree planting, and increasing energy efficiency in some of our public buildings. We'll also work with the Serve Guam Commission and the AmeriCorps members to expand the impact of this work. In our previous conferences, our participants asked our legislators to pass a plastic bag ban. Senator Regine Lee accomplished this with her colleagues, and it's now in effect. Following through on our center's commitment, we will assist with the educational outreach campaign to help our community continue to adapt to this for the rest of the year. And we'll be working with the Guam Environmental Protection Agency to ensure this gets done. In January 2022, biodegradable plastic bags will be phased out. And by July of next year, even paper bags will be no longer allowed since their waste volume and carbon footprint can be worse than plastic bags. And we'll work with the Guam Youth Congress as well, because we have recently seen them get a bill introduced to ban styrofoam on island. Now, we talked about this project a little bit yesterday during the G3 biannual meeting. We'll also lead the way to take our island beyond trash cleanups with the creation of a G3 circular economy makerspace and innovation hub at the Chamorro Village. Entrepreneurs will be able to gather in a makerspace filled with tools and equipment to transform waste products into marketable products. We'll have things like 3D printers, laser cutters, CNC routers, heat presses that can turn discarded banana trees into wallets, plastics into tiles, bricks and trinkets, beetle nut palms into new plates that we can offset the use of styrofoam, discarded lumber into tables or trophies, and so much more. In a time of business closures and rising unemployment, G3 will give our people an ownership role in the new green economy and in the transition to a cleaner and more sustainable Guam. Our partners at the UOG School of Business and Public Administration, the Small Business Development Center, GUMA, Guam Unique Merchandise and Art, and the Guam Economic Development Authority will provide the business development tools and resources for the entrepreneurs to start or expand their local businesses. Now, our friends at the Micronesia Climate Change Alliance are making great progress on precious plastics. We're excited to work with them and have our makerspace complement their operation with the new larger versions of precious plastics machines, such as these sheet presses that can be run through CNC routers and the laser cutters to make a wide variety of new products. Then we're also pursuing a partnership with Bifusion, which could be an amazing large-scale solution to our plastic challenge by melting down 90 tons a month of plastics 1 through 7. That's all the plastics that are, some of them are currently going to the landfill. We'll be able to melt those down into these incredible bricks that meet environmental and building standards. Then we'll be working with our friends at Guahan Sustainable Culture to create a community garden in Hagatnya to address Sustainable Development Goal number 2, Zero Hunger, with their new AmeriCorps members. And tomorrow you'll see a short video about other aspects of our team at the Center for Island Sustainability. Our Associate Director, Elsa Dumolinar, and her team in our Natural Resources Division are on the ground in our forests and streams every day doing incredible work. And our Guam Restoration of Watersheds initiative will also be featured to show the innovations we're leading to stop our island soils from bleeding into our ocean, where it smothers and kills our coral reefs. I want to thank all our community partners we'll be working with to accomplish these things. And then also, thanks to the National Science Foundation EPSCoR and Includes programs, we have funding now to provide over 100 students in Guam and Micronesia research and career development opportunities in marine and environmental sciences over the next 5 years. So we're really excited about helping the new generation take their place for the sustainable future of our island. And lastly, we look forward to new possibilities with one of our signature programs at the center, and you've heard a little bit about this at the last panel, the University of Guam Sea Grant Program. We're looking forward to applying for institutional status this summer, and if approved, we'll be able to greatly expand our impact for healthier coastal resources through research, extension, and outreach. Now, please contact me if you have any ideas, wherever you're watching from, on how we can partner and continue to form sustainable alliances to achieve our sustainable global future together. Sujuas Maasi, and thank you again for joining us today for our 12th University of Guam Conference on Island Sustainability. And now it's my pleasure to begin moderating the next portion of our opening conference plenary, welcoming our conference co-chairs, Dr. Thomas W. Krise, President of the University of Guam, and the Honorable Lourdes Guerrero, our Magahaga, or Governor of Guam. Dr. Krise grew up in the US Virgin Islands. He was a Fulbright Scholar at the University of the West Indies in Jamaica and had published numerous articles and other works of island literature. And before coming to the University of Guam, he was the president of Pacific Lutheran University in Washington State. And now as the president of the University of Guam, he leads our Parahulu strategic plan, which will enhance our ability to provide a valuable education and engaging experience to our students, serve the needs of our community in Guam and the region, and even enhance the recognition of the university as the flagship research and partnership institution for all of Micronesia. And it's also benchmarked against the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Governor Lourdes Guerrero was inaugurated as the very first female governor of Guam in 2018. She started her career as a nurse. She served 5 terms in the Guam legislature, and she was also the president of the Bank of Guam and president of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Governor Guerrero and President Krise.
We in the organization and across the Pacific are able to demonstrate the ability to collaborate effectively together and to positively and optimistically imagine a future that is better than the one that we left behind.
This year marks the start of the Decade of Action, a critical 10-year window to act on the most significant global sustainability challenges before 2030. We are proud to be taking local action to achieve global impact.
Welcome, President Krise and Governor Leon Guerrero.
Thank you, Austin.
Thank you.
Well, good morning. A little over a year ago, our conference planning was in full swing with you both as our conference co-chairs to have our best in-person event ever. But then the pandemic came. Thanks to your leadership, though, you said sustainability is too important. We cannot cancel. And so we became one of the first events to fully pivot to a virtual platform. As our island, region, and planet have gone through so much change ever since. There's been hardship and difficulties, but also immense success and hope. We're going to save some of the more direct COVID-19 health responses for our panel with Lieutenant Governor Tenorio on the Islands Are Rising for Human Society later today. So I'd like to begin this conversation with the two of you to instead ask about a few other aspects of sustainability. So this first question is for both of you. What are one or two of the biggest lessons related to sustainability that you've learned during this time? And President Krise, if you don't mind, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. I think the lurch into this online Zooming existence that we've had has helped us to figure out that we can do a lot of things without traveling, without sort of impacting the environment as much as we have. So I think we're in the university now. We were actually just on a meeting just a minute ago, emphasizing that this is a period of time where we can appreciate what is useful about some of these distance, Zooming kinds of existences that we want to preserve into the future. So there may be certain kinds of committee meetings and things that we might do in this format rather than going in person. And I think actually the Island Sustainability Conference last year was the one that you put on was really the first big online conference that I attended, and I thought it was very well done. It was very well attended. We got people from all kinds of places who wouldn't have come in person. So I think we need to preserve some of this and to remember that this, as bad as this whole experience has been, there are some positive things that we can take from it. And a further thing I think in terms of sustainability is the attention to the digital equity piece. So the fact that a number of people in Guam and across the world, of course, don't have easy access to internet connection, don't have the equipment, sometimes don't have the training and education to use these things. So it's really called attention to that. And I've appreciated the governor's attention to help getting the ISPs to work harder to extend our capacity for internet connection, to use some of the funds that we've received to provide equipment, computers, Wi-Fi, MiFi, those kinds of things. So those would be two sort of aspects of this that I think have sustainability elements that we've learned during this.
Thank you very much, President Krise. And Governor Leon Guerrero, for you, what were the one or two biggest lessons you learned related to sustainability during this time of the pandemic?
Yes, technology, of course, is very key to moving forward our agenda and our business and our everyday lives. And that has shown to be very, I think, very productive. I just read something that says that people that were teleworking at home were healthier and also were able to adjust more to the disaster. But I also wanted to share that one of the things that really came to light with this whole pandemic for me is that we have a lot to do. to become self-sustained and self-sufficient. One of my biggest worries when I saw in the very beginning that we are going to have this disaster, pandemic in our island is fear of not getting enough food for our people. And I met with all the grocers and I met with the Port Authority. And I said to them, we're not closing the grocers and we're not going to close the Port Authority, which is the hub of commerce and which is the hub of bringing in our import, that we import a lot of our necessities, which I don't think we have to. And so it was very much in light with me that we need to do more in food sustainability, and we need to do more in diversifying our economy, because we need to be able to say, if we become isolated from the global world, that we can continue on sustaining our lives. And I just heard the litany of progress that the Center for Island Sustainability has done, and I'm just very impressed and at awe with all the stuff that we are doing to get to that level. So that's one of the things that I learned, is that we need to do a lot more, Austin, and for all people that are attending this conference, a lot more and a lot faster, because I don't think this pandemic is going to be our last pandemic, or I don't think that we're not going to be experiencing future disasters down the line. So everything from economic dependency and sustainability to social sustainability to food and health sustainability, we have a lot of work to do. We even had to bring in our outside nurses to help us with our hospital and our healthcare. So although we are a small island, but we are so dependent on outside help that it does become, to me, a big concern when that outside help for some reason is cut off. And that was my biggest fear. Believe me, that was my biggest fear during this whole pandemic, is will we be able to still provide food, clothing and shelter to our people? And we did. We were resilient about it. We were innovative about it. I thank the people for their cooperation and their innovation. And I'm pretty sure also that I'm not pretty sure, I know that the University of Guam came to the table to help us with this pandemic. I also learned that although we are a small world, like I said, but we're so into the global. And so everything that happens on a global level impacts us. Look at this pandemic. It's a worldwide pandemic. It impacted our economy. It impacted our tourism. It even impacted our surge in our coronavirus, because the surge was a result of exporting the virus here to Guam. So we have a lot to do, Austin, and for our people, but I feel very confident that with the models that we're using, with the awareness that we're doing, with the cooperation of our island, we will get there. We will get there to be self-sufficient and more sustained.
Thank you, Governor. Lots of really wonderful points that you had there, and also President Krise. I hear that we do have an urgency to achieve our sustainability, to become more self-sufficient, reduce our imports, reduce our reliance on outside expertise. So building human capacity, building self-sufficiency, and we can do that with perhaps more of these technological advancements and taking advantage of those. So I have a few questions that I was thinking of for both of you, but let's get into more of the economic aspects, since Governor, you touched on a few of those, and President Krise, I know we've had a report recently here at the University of Guam showing how all the work that we're doing in the university contributes a lot to the overall economy of our island. So President Krise, maybe we'll start with you here. How do you think that we can build back the economy, and what's the university's role in this going forward, do you think?
I think that the main way is sort of the brain power. I think we have a number of people in the university, different departments and schools and colleges that are participating in different groups, trying to think about how we respond to the pandemic and the economic impact and come out of it. So I think the diversification of the economy is really important, and so we have this sort of window of opportunity, as our economics professor Roseanne Jones put it. We have this window of opportunity to expand to do some new things in the economy while our tourism is basically, shut down in a way. So, once the tourism comes back, we'll lose some of the potential for people to retrain and to take up new jobs or new industries and so on. So we need to really pay attention right now as we're coming out of the pandemic to figure out ways that we can do these kinds of things. And one of the things I think about this whole experience is that it emphasizes how much sustainability and our approach to it can be optimistic. I think it's important for us to be thinking about positive, reinforcing kinds of aspects of thinking of new businesses, thinking of sustainability, thinking of being more self-reliant. I think that's a positive message. So much of the environmental movement has been about the worry and the fear, the well-founded worry and fear of catastrophe. But the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals give us so many different ways everybody can have a piece of the solution. And I think the partnership, the feeling of we're in it together. We've got partnerships from the university and business and agencies of the government and all kinds of things. And across the world, these partnerships are reinforcing, and they're helping us to take. To feel like we have real agency and we can make a difference. So I think this is a great opportunity, and we need to take advantage of it now while we're coming out of the pandemic, and we're really serious about it. So the circular economy kinds of ideas, I think, this is the time to be pushing in that direction.
Thank you, President Krise. Very true that we all have a role to play in the sustainable future, and those 17 different sustainable development goals give us a great framework. Governor, the economy remains on everybody's minds. We're thinking about the lost revenues, about if and when tourism is going to return, and the high cost of those goods and services that you were talking about. So what are a couple of your big ideas or plans for building back the economy? And also, we're hearing a lot about building back better. Do you think we will be able to truly build back better than we've had before?
I believe we can. And I believe that because we have just gone through a year of, I don't want to say reflection, right? But a lot of people have taken this year to really reflect on what they can do to provide more opportunities. And, building back our economy and building it back better is certainly the strategic direction that I am focusing on, and my team and administration are. But I have to just say that in order for us to get back to a healthy economy, our people have to be healthy first. And that's exactly our strategy during this whole pandemic, Austin. I know that in the beginning, when we did the stay at home and the lockdown, there was a lot of criticisms from the business community. And yes, people were unemployed, they lost their jobs, but they also got federal financial help, which is very important and was very, very, very helpful because that it sort of gave them a bridge to now we're slowly opening back our economy. You're seeing restaurants now coming back full force. we're slowly opening back in a very safe and protected way. I want the people to know that we are methodically and scientifically reopening our islands so that we can continue to be safe and protected when we do open up and relax our travel restrictions and protocols. So we're very adamant about that. And of course, there's a lot of, like I said, federal help. So, you know, we are getting some territorial financial help. I'm going to push those out into the small businesses, into our economy. I'm going to push it to our government agencies so that we can provide the necessary public service that we need to. For example, and this is a tourist related, right? Our parks and recs, for example. You mentioned about the Cadena del Amor and your innovation about getting conservation students to kind of help with our environment and so forth. The same thing with our parks and recs. We have over 70 parks and we only have 2 park rangers. How do you think Parks and Recs can monitor those parks when we only have 2 park rangers? I think that's not a good service to our community. So I'm going to pump money into that so that our parks can remain safe, can remain clean, and can remain inviting for our people and our tourists, right? So when I say yes, we're going to build back and we're going to build back better, that's what we're doing. Our whole administration, also under the leadership of Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio with island beautification, that's another thing. How do we keep our island beautified, right? Clean. You mentioned about illegal dumping. That's another issue, right? How do we prevent illegal dumping? I'm working in trying to get mandatory pickup to every residence, regardless if you're registered or not. So those are some of the things that we are doing. Just there's more, but to give you a demonstration that yes, when we build back, we'll build back better. And I think our people are motivated to do that because they have seen how when our economy is really down, what we need to do to protect our environment, our culture, and our people and our land to bring back the economy. We're also going to be
Agreed, Governor.
diversifying
Very much agree.
a lot. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we could all agree here on Guam, if we're able to see the cleaner parks, a more healthy community, those advance our sustainable development goals, of course, but it's also going to make for a much healthier, prosperous, and sustainable Guam that we will all be able to enjoy together. Now, Governor and President, we have just another minute for each of you to respond to my final question. And so yesterday we had our Guam Green Growth biannual meeting, and we heard updates from the working group members representing all sectors of our society on how we're advancing those goals of the Guam Green Growth Action Framework and the UN SDGs. So we have this unique model in Guam where we've established a strong partnership between our university and the government to advance the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Would you recommend this model to others? And how would you recommend they go about it?
Yes, I would recommend.
President.
Yeah, so I think the thing that stood out for me were the idea of the badges. So we talked earlier about the optimistic, sort of enjoyable partnership kind of aspects of the plan. And so I think the badges are a nice way to sort of have something that you're moving toward that's positive, that touches on all of these different aspects of sustainability. So I think that's a nice example of the optimistic way that we can deal with this. And if I could just say that it seems to me that the pandemic has told all of us in the world that the big governments in the world are not going to solve all of our problems and aren't going to be able to solve the climate crisis, right? And so what this has really called attention to is how local effort really makes a difference. And so Guam and Mariana Islands, the rest of Micronesia, American Samoa have responded much better to this pandemic than say, the mainland part of the US or other big places in the world. So we in small places, and particularly in island communities, can really make a difference, and really our individual action can make a difference in the world. And we can show people how it can be done. So I think much of yesterday indicates that we can do this in an optimistic and successful way.
Thank you, President Krise. And Governor, would you recommend this model to others, and how should they go about it?
Absolutely. You know, academia and government together is going to be successful. And, you know, I think the Center for Island Sustainability, Austin and Dr. Krise, is very key, because we can do lip service about environmental protection and all that. But if we don't really have the ownership, and if we don't really have the leader in making that happen, it's not going to happen. And just the work that the Center for Island Sustainability has done over the last 2 to 3 years is amazing. Progress has been made. A lot of progress has been made. I think government's role is to provide and support the Center for Island Sustainability in resources, you know, policies. Like you mentioned, the Senator Regine Biscoli's bill that is just so much a great performance now in trying to, you know, protect our environment and our waters and so forth. So that relationship, government and academia, is, I think, a perfect synergy. I think academia is very crucial, because you guys are the higher institution of learning. You have the higher, you have the main research studies that you know. You have the latest updated information and knowledge that you then apply to the people of Guam through the government, through community networks, to nonprofit organization networking. So this University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability and the government through the Office of the Governor and also the legislature is such a great marriage, I think. It's strong, it's formidable, and it benefits both. And who is the major beneficiary of it? Our island, our people, our community, our environment, you know, our land, and just overall quality, healthy well-being of our people. So
Thank you,
you
Governor.
get me on
And
there,
thank
and
you,
I will
President
endorse
Krise.
it whenever you want me to.
Thank you so much, Governor, for all your support and your partnership with us here at the University of Guam. Thank you both, President and Governor, for being the co-chairs of our conference this year. We're going to move on to the next panel. Phil's going to introduce, and we're going to hear how other islands can follow this model with our local 2030 Islands Network. Have a great day.